Thank you all for coming out here this morning to pray and to protest and to witness in front of the Planned Parenthood mega clinic that's being built behind us. This is the first time that I've been here. I remember the other downtown Planned Parenthood center, and it's a little reported fact that that Planned Parenthood in Washington D.C., when they were still operating that clinic in the downtown center, that clinic was partnered with STEM Express for a time period. And so it was one of the locations where STEM Express was purchasing and harvesting Planned Parenthood baby parts for sale across the country. But looking at this mega clinic that's being built behind us for Planned Parenthood right now, there's a couple of thoughts that come to mind, and I think that the building itself, the way that it stands behind us, is a little symbolic of where we stand right now in the historic fight for liberty and for protection and for justice for our unborn brothers and sisters. And the first thing that I think of is the fact that this construction right now, as we stand here, is stopped in its tracks. And that's the situation where Planned Parenthood and the rest of the abortion industry is right now. They're stopped in their tracks. Those of you who have seen the full footage of the lunch conversation that our investigators had with the Senior Director of Medical Services at Planned Parenthood, Dr. Deborah Nucatola, with the wine and the salad, if you've seen the full footage of that 3-hour-long conversation, you know that she was talking about a lot more than just baby parts. She was also talking about Planned Parenthood's national business operations and strategy moving forward, about how they're doing mapping work across the country to expand their late-term abortion business specifically. Their consortium of abortion providers, which is the shadowy committee within National Planned Parenthood that sets abortion policy for the rest of the Federation nationwide. CAPS is offering grants to the different affiliates who can extend their gestational age later in term. For every week, they've got another grant for how far you can go. But all of that is stopped in its tracks right now because Planned Parenthood is on the defense, and the public is looking with renewed scrutiny and disgust at Planned Parenthood's barbaric abortion and baby parts business. And that brings me to the second image that I see, and the second metaphor that I see in this building behind us. So I refer to it as a mega clinic. And most of us are probably familiar that it's been Planned Parenthood's business model over the past 10 or so years, 10 or 15 years. They're consolidating the affiliates, they're consolidating the clinics, they're building large mega centers, abortion factories, like Donald Trump would say, right? Abortion factories that can process huge volumes of procedures every year in centralized locations. And you can't help but think that they look kind of like fortresses, right? Or like the castle of the evil baron in a fairy tale. And the reason that Planned Parenthood is building fortresses right now is because they're on the defensive. They're on the ropes right now, and the days of legalized, state-subsidized, industrial-scale child killing in our country are numbered.
Thank God. Yes.
And so I am convinced that 2016, that this year, is going to be a historic watershed moment for abortion and for unborn children and how we talk about them and how we treat them in our country. We have the ongoing congressional investigation of the Select Committee in the U.S. Congress. There are ongoing criminal investigations in multiple states that still move forward based on the allegations from the videotapes. Law enforcement, elected representatives on a state and federal level are listening to the public mandate for Planned Parenthood to be held accountable under the law for their crimes and for taxpayer dollars to no longer subsidize their barbaric abortion business. There's going to be all the issues of Roe versus Wade are going to be up before the Supreme Court again this March. In the case out of Texas, it'll be a historic case, and it'll be something that'll continue to bring down the fortress. And speaking of court cases, I do want to say a few words about the rather top-heavy RICO case, racketeering case, that Planned Parenthood has ironically brought just in the past week. You know, it's especially ironic because if you want to talk about racketeering and RICO violations, the RICO case against the criminal or the organized crime case against Planned Parenthood pretty much writes itself. Money laundering from baby parts, homicide of born alive infants, obstruction of justice, all of it. And, you know, and for all the counts that Planned Parenthood threw in the lawsuit that they filed against us on Thursday, it's got like 13 different counts or something like that. It's they pretty much throw everything but the kitchen sink at me and CMP. And what they don't throw at us is defamation or libel or slander or anything like that, because they know they can't prove that. Of all the things that they're suing us for, the only thing that they're not suing for is a claim that is a legal claim that we've actually said anything false about them, because everything that we've said about them is absolutely true. And frankly, I was surprised last week that Planned Parenthood took the step to file that lawsuit, because what that means is that all of the dirty details of their abortion practice, of their baby parts business, all of that is going to be brought into the courtroom. It's going to be brought into the light of the law. It's going to be brought into the legal system through the litigation process. And I'm still a little shocked that they're willing to take that risk. But you know what I think that means? I think that means that they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think that means that they know that they're not going to be able to forever hide the total amount of money that they got from STEM Express for baby parts from 2010 to 2015. It means they're not going to be able to hide much longer the kickbacks that their doctors and their executives and their board members got from Advanced Bioscience Resources for the past 10 years. It means they're not going to be able to forever never address the very clear admissions about partial birth abortion procedures that their senior director of medical services admitted to using to harvest intact baby parts, and that she trains other Planned Parenthood doctors to use. All of this stuff is going to be brought out, whether it's through the Congressional Committee investigation, whether it's through the state criminal investigations, or whether it's through the investigation we're going to get to do now through the discovery process in this lawsuit. And so for all of you here, I would just ask you to continue to be faithful to the part in the vineyard that you've been called to. If you do sidewalk advocacy, please continue to do sidewalk advocacy, because you're on the front lines. If you volunteer in pregnancy resource centers, or if you help in pregnancy resource centers, please continue to do that, because you're on the front lines. If you're someone who has connections to your local law enforcement, please continue to encourage them and bring local pressure on them to investigate Planned Parenthood and hold them accountable to the law. And all of you, please continue to pray for me, to pray for everyone at CMP, and as we go into the legal battles and the adventure that lies ahead. Pray for wisdom and courage for everyone involved. And I'm extremely hopeful, even on the very grave anniversary that we have here this weekend, tomorrow, the anniversary of Roe versus Wade. I am very, very hopeful that if we continue to be faithful, if we continue to stand at our posts, to trust God, to take the next right step, that together we will see an end to abortion in America, and we will see a day when there's no longer a price tag put on human life. Thank you.